Hey, what's good everyone? Theory here, and we are doing our first community replay. This one is sent in by New, playing as Lancelot, versus Oracle, playing as Charlotta, and this was actually a tournament match, which is interesting. So we're going to get straight into it and start dissecting this matchup and looking at mentalities, all that sort of good stuff. Alright, so starts off by backing off. This is a pretty traditional thing to do in a tournament setting, is to like start the round as safely as possible. You do have to be careful though, because just by walking back, you're giving up screen control. You know, sometimes rather than dashing, just literally walking is more helpful, but you know, it's no harm, no foul. And this gives us a lot of information like right away, right? So this doing the Charlotte ball is obviously very good and very difficult to deal with on whiff, but it is important to establish that they can't whiff it. Even though it's a hard reaction, you just need to be able to do this because it shouldn't be part of Charlotta's tools whiffing this move. So hitting it with a close M or even an L if your reactions aren't super quick makes a world of difference, because it's Charlotta immediately got screen control from that one interaction, moving back and then doing a unpunished whiffed ball. Like I said, it's hard to punish, but it's super worth just like practicing it in team mode and getting the visuals down. The thing that obviously makes it scary is like you don't know which one she's doing, you don't know whether it's going to be a bait, but just throwing out a medium punch to deal with that, your M button will beat the blank ball. That's important. So dealing with corner pressure and teleports out. So like the thing that I always look at when someone's making a decision to do like a reversal or any sort of action is like why. So obviously Lance wants to get out of the corner and has a lot of options to get out of the corner. And the cool thing about that, it means that some of the more unconventional ones, like just a raw teleport, become quite viable. But versus Charlotta, it's a bit scary. She has just, when she's got a stick in neutral, her flash kick is active and it pretty much shuts down teleport for the most part. But like I said, with the context of the matchup, it becomes a more viable tool. So you can see New just like trying to play a bit loose, which I appreciate playing loose like that. It makes sense. Lance has got to do it. And setting up those fireballs. So... oh, okay, cool. Gets the big hit, no conversion there. And once again, you can see using, like, that's the power of Lance and something you have to do. Using fakes like this to bait reversals, unfortunately, doesn't get a punish yet. And one thing you can see when someone does a fake like that and doesn't get a punish is they're not necessarily making that as a calculated choice. Whenever you do things to create visual noise on the or whenever you do things in general, it should have a purpose. So there, the only reason you'll do that is to purposely bait a DP. That's the one thing you need to react to. If you get hit out of it, it's kind of irrelevant. You just want to block and bait something, whether you're baiting a jump, whether you're baiting a button. Think about how you're using that attack to bait something and be ready for that option. You're not going to be ready for everything. So granted, New might have been looking for a jump, might have been looking for a far H, could have been looking for a lot of things, but it's worth mentioning that like if you're going to do an off the wall bait, look for the DP, look for the punish, look for the like Charlotte ball or the run up, because they're going to do something and you have to be prepared for one of those options. Going to get the throw into the corner, the X fireball follow up. Oracle showing a bit of matchup prowess there by just jumping out. You can tell by the sort of way that New is playing neutral here that he's scared of the reversal, and it's understandable because it's hard for Lance to punish. I believe you can actually punish that with a far H, so that's something to be mindful of. And this is really good. This is a really good round. I think let's actually look at what sort of like ramifications this sequence could have had, right? Just block, reset. So reset the pressure. So Oracle's obviously looking for the second hit. Reset, goes for the second hit there, gets it, awesome. And is just keeping this block string pressure up. So what's that already established to Oracle? Oracle, you've hit with frame traps, you've varied up your pressure strings, and that's going to create any sense of fear in most players. Not everyone's just going to sit there and block forever. So you now have to consider you've just hit with those two things and what impact that's going to have on Oracle for the rest of the game. And that's what makes this super telegraphed and what makes that DP telegraphed as well. It's obviously very easy to look in hindsight going like, oh, that was obvious. But if we just look at what happened previously, the way that Nu was running that sort of like quite freestyle pressure, obviously it's what Lance does. He does that. He puts you in wrecker pressure and makes you hesitate. But that's kind of what made Oracle's responses somewhat telegraphed. Playing a bit more free right now. I mean, it's fine. So my view in this matchup on the teleport, the EX1, the 2-2H, I would save it for 100 hands. So, like, you know, the 100 hands that's going to give you the most issues are the ones that have got the gaps in them. And that's one of the best opportunities to use the 2-2H. Now, that all being said, it's cool to show a bit of unpredictability early on in a set, especially when you've got a lead. Just kind of making Oracle think about a lot of different stuff. But the DP follow-up kind of says it all, right? Very ready to react to Nu making a sort of like big read on something. And if you're going to make that read, you don't want to make it against normals because you can whiff a lot of normals before the follow-up from the 2-2H will actually come out and hit you. So I would personally look at it to go like, all right, I'm looking for a 100 hand slap then. That's when I'm going to try and 2-2H out of it. Obviously, it's not super easy to be able to predict that, but I would say throwing that in there. Because right now, Oracle is not thrown, not gone for a demon flip mix-up, not gone for an overhead. It's all just been like slow frame trap pressure, which is obviously very good, but like you can't let that immediately sort of you can't make that look as if it's going to force a reversal out of you, if that makes sense. Jumping away once again. And yeah, I think that's the sort of range where the far H punish comes into its own. Nice, brilliant way out of the corner there. And now he's got his corner position. Unfortunately, doesn't convert off that. That's okay, that happens. You can see that Nu is super scared of the DP. But the way that he's approaching that sort of fear is kind of okay. I think let's go back to the corner position. All right. So gets this sort of situation, runs up, tries to get a close M, makes sense. Try and take the advantage. And you see how slow Nu is playing here, right? Just slowly kind of waiting it out. But Oracle hasn't got a DP yet. This is your opportunity to get into Oracle's face. Obviously, you can bait out buttons. You can bait out like someone mashing out with this sort of 2M pressure. But I think the worst case scenario is like Oracle has not got any tools, not got Blankable, not got 100 hands, although is just about to get it, and has only got Demon Flip. So even if the worst case scenario happens and Oracle either jumps out or just hits you with a target combo, it's kind of not too deep. I would say keeping an eye on their meter and what they've just spent is pretty important here, because Nu got the hit, but you don't want to show that you're hesitating just from the play. You want to show that you're hesitating from certain moves and certain options. Okay, it gets pushed out of the corner once again, and I think that we're seeing this Nu just moving away from the Blankable. That seems to be the crux of this matchup. So Nu's trying to get out of range of the Blankable, but it's not always what you need to do. Blocking a Blankable, and obviously it's easier said than done because Charlotte does have such a good DP in this matchup anyway. You can't just let that dictate the pace of the match. So things you can do versus that are run up far M. Far M will beat it. 2M will beat it, the light and heavy versions. And if you do that, if you catch Charlotta out of a couple of Blankables and get a healthy punish, it sets such a good tone for the rest of the neutral. Then you can start running up and doing what you like, or it forces Charlotta to think differently about neutral. Because right now, Oracle's game plan is, I'm going to Blankable, you're not going to punish it, and you're going to move around a lot on the screen, which allows Oracle to just DP out of a lot of pressure. Nice trade there. Yeah, that's the... If you don't know about clashes tend to devolve into DP or dodge, essentially. So keeping this corner pressure, that's unfortunate. It's too early. And yeah, Oracle is super ready for that. But like, okay, let's take that. That's so much information that we just got there, right? Now, obviously, it's very easy to look at this and just go like, Oracle had a good read, blah, blah, blah. But Oracle is looking for this, looking for the teleport now. And that teleport should give you, that should show that you are going to have the opportunity to get out of pressure in different ways. So let's see if Oracle pressed a button before that. Because there are like jump option selects and other things like that, but I don't believe that's what's happening. Whiffed it, jumped up in the air. Okay, so that should show you that you're going to have other ways to escape, because focusing on that one thing, the 2-2H, is going to give other gaps in their reactions. Puts them in the corner. Doesn't have any meter here, so it absolutely doesn't have anything. Doesn't have the DP, doesn't have 100 hands, only has blankable, and only has demon flip. That's when your off the wall stuff should be just out there. You just jump over them and, you know, jump you. If she hasn't got the DP, dealing with Lance's off the wall stuff is so hard. They have to make a read on it. And I'm glad he got out the corner here. But yeah, absolutely, the meter in that situation, Lance shouldn't be kept in the corner by this sort of pressure. And I'm really glad that he baited it out, got the punish. Like, that's super good. It's super good. That's exactly what you need to look for as a Lance player in the corner. It's perfect. Keeping this pressure up. Oracle taking the turn. Yeah, cool. That's good. Makes a read on it. Works out. I mean, it's such a safe read to make as Lancelot. And I like establishing that early on, especially where Oracle has been trying to react to the 2-2H. Like I said, it's going to present other holes in their armor. Jump back. Once again, giving up a lot of screen control. But Lance is explosive, so it makes sense. And with the fireball on screen, perfect. Unfortunately, drops the combo, but it's not focused too much on that. 100 hand slap, another thing. Just instant block it. Just do it, because there's no risk to doing it. Just mash down back a couple of times. You may get a couple of bumps of meter, you may not. Doesn't matter either way. And you can see, once again, this hesitation from New is giving Oracle all the time in the world to do that blankable. It's all about the blankable right now. You can simplify this quite a lot. Sets up the EX Fireball. That's funny. That would have absolutely worked pre-patch, but not anymore. You see, he's just hesitant. It's interesting, right? So, the way that Oracle seems to be defending a lot of the time, which is a very cool style, and can be very difficult to deal with. Let's actually go back to that, because I think it's important. Alright. Keeps him in the corner, runs up, just gets hit by the jump back, and then just moves away. So the way that Oracle seems to be playing this is not necessarily patiently, but somewhat forcing a reaction out of you with things like jump and things like blankable. So you need to take into your brain what forced those reactions. So if I'm in this situation, if we go right the way back to when he gets the corner positioning, maybe let's go back a bit more. All right, so gets that. So we saw Oracle jumped out. Oracle is not having any of this. Unfortunately, messes up your conversion. That's fine. Runs forward, jumps back. Now, I don't think that that's on reaction, but it shows a sign that Oracle is not trying to get into any sort of like Lance pressure. And this is where things like just running up and doing the 2H. So running up and reacting is so good. Running up and reacting is like the best thing you can do. It's fine. This happens. But just like when you're keeping someone in the corner, think of how they're getting out the corner. They're getting out the corner with blankable. They're getting out the corner with jump. So if you are going to adopt this sort of like corner positioning, make sure you're throwing out far M, 2M, and then make sure that when they do jump, you're using this as an opportunity to go in. And that's what New did. I think the buttons weren't necessarily established, but that's fine. You know, he got caught by the jump out. This should be okay. Yeah, that's just kind of the read. Running up and dodging is the safest way to approach if you throw out the fireball versus someone that's got a DP. It is what it is. Alright, it's going to be a grip of damage. Hasn't really got anything to spend though. Spends the one option he has, which is Demon Flip, and it's not really any sort of real pressure from it. Getting caught out. If we think about how... I guess cool. Okay, so what led New to getting mashed out in that Wrecker pressure? Target combo is never a good sign, right? Like, when you go into the target combo, your options are super limited. But Oracle blocked it all, and then kind of blocked the follow-up as well. This should give you a sign of being able to throw. And I know it's kind of like scary when you running up and throwing someone with such a good DP, but if they're holding down pack, like, you kind of got to do it. You got to throw in the throw in there. You can't just let them go DP, jump, or just mash. Like, you need to add other layers, other things in their brain. Because all your strings have basically been like medium wreckers, second wrecker, medium wreckers. And that's fine, and it can definitely work. But because it's such a simplistic mix-up, what's going through Oracle's brain right now is only a handful of options. Lance is based on the idea that you show so many different things that you can do that he's scary. Because the Wrecker mix-up doesn't lead to much damage. Like, who gives a shit? You get hit by Wrecker in the mid-screen, it's like, like, fine, I'll just block the next mix-up. But if you throw a couple of throws in there, you throw a couple of jump U's, even though all these things got kind of nerfed, they're really important to still throw into the game. Because if you don't, you're oversimplifying it. You're oversimplifying your pressure. Your pressure should be as complex as possible and as safe as possible. And that's what you're doing. You're keeping it safe. But if you don't add the complexity in there, but what you've done is give Oracle really easy things to react to, really easy cues to follow. Like, if you're getting hit by the DP a lot, the solution shouldn't just be, I need to block. It should also be, I need to change up my strings. The amount of times I've done like a target combo as Ladiva, and I get DP'd after the target combo because I go for headbutt, right? But then if I start doing like 2 hits of the target combo and then SBDing them, they're not ready for the timing to DP me out of it. And now I've got them mashing DP because they don't know when I'm going to do it. I just do a jab and I block. You know, these are the sort of things that you can throw in there. Like, if someone's doing a DP, what is the point in which they're DPing? What is the point that they're mashing out? Anyway, let's keep going. Yeah, it gets caught. Honestly, the versus Charlotta, when she goes into Demon Flip, if you're not ready to, jump air throw being typically the best option, just block low. The overhead doesn't lead to huge amounts of damage. Everything else can do. I like this. So New is being given quite a lot of space to maneuver in here, but just not with all of these things being blocked. You have to take that as a sign of like, I need to change this up. If you're getting run up M, run up M, run up M so many times, like that needs to that should give you the go ahead to actually mix up in different ways. So running up a bit closer and doing an L, running up and doing a throw, running up and doing an overhead. Like, this is what it should afford you when you get someone to block something so many times. Yeah, I don't know the specifics of that interaction, but I don't see it as being a bad one doing 2-2H. Maybe coming down with something different would have worked. Nice, catches him out of the air. Yeah, maybe 2-2H is not a bad response to it. But yeah, I just block the low. Just block low, firm the overhead. It's chill. And hasn't gone for, like, this sort of thing, right? I don't know specifics of this punish, but you have super. It's safe, man. Like, sometimes just doing the super can be really useful here. Now, granted, there might be some specifics of this matchup which allows Charlotta to actually get out of the super situation, but just doing something like third wrecker, even though it's betting, doing one wrecker and throwing, it's just, unfortunately, it's all boiled down to, am I doing first wrecker and resetting, or am I doing second wrecker and blocking? And it shouldn't be that simple. It shouldn't be that simple. All the times that you have done the second wrecker and done the first wrecker, and Oracle has like blocked it and then mashed out afterwards when it is Oracle's turn should have given you the go-ahead to do your thing. Like, the amount of times there's just been second Rekka and Oracle mashes out, second Rekka, Oracle mashes out. It's happened countless times. That should be a setup for you to be able to get a super hit. The super is kind of always guaranteed. I know I'm looking at it in retrospect, you may be thinking I'm chatting shit, but like, the second Rekka mash is so consistent that should be a pattern that's in your head. Those records, each one of them should be information to you. You need to take note of how the player responds, because no one is truly random. Everyone has their own habits, and all of it you need to take advantage of. Nice, just blocking out the pressure. Makes sense on a super, no punish, but does get the count hit. Super suit is safe, you know. Like, it's worth throwing out there. Unfortunately, Oracle makes the right read, comes up afterwards and slaps him. You know, not having a quick reversal means that that's going to happen sometimes. So that's 1-1. Final game. There we go, back. There we go. Alright. Jump back from new once again, giving up space. Trying to stay out of that blankable range, but you can't keep doing it. It just feels like he's trying to explode in with the slide and with the sprint forward, but sometimes you just have to hold your own space, block the blankable, and get your turn back the old-fashioned way. Nice, gets a 2L out of that. I guess he went for the low option. Keeping this corner pressure. And look, even that far button connected, right? Didn't cancel into anything. And that shows that it's just kind of like, it's not this fully thought out counter plan to your Rekka. You need to take it. All right. But this corner pressure is looking nice. Jumps back once again. Yeah, now you can see going to punish the first Rekka, running in a lot more. I think New's confidence here is lacking. Like, the dash back every round start into fireball, it's just a habit that's formed like over the course of this set and is giving Oracle the opportunity to just run in. And yeah, exploding out. Even though there's been so many gaps in Oracle's pressure, it's just like there's been a big setup here. All right, this is going to be a drop. Might be able to get a punish. No, I would have got hit by that too, to be fair. So Oracle's going to take this one, but let's TLDR what happened here, right? So New established this quite good Rekka pressure very early on. This run up far M pressure that was working out really well, but didn't ever cash it in, essentially. Never put the money in the bank, you know, like just kind of kept running the same thing. And there was never a point where Oracle had to think outside of the box towards that pressure. It was always those two options. There was no third Rekka in there. There was no like run up throw, run up overhead, just looking a bit more flexible, even just not going into the Rekka at all and doing a far L into a run up far L. It looked so static, and that Lance is never scary when he's trying to just play by the frames, which it kind of felt like he was. Another thing was, you can't give Charlotta so much space. When you backdash at the start of a round and then you get hit, you are in the corner immediately. Now, granted, Lance doesn't have the biggest issue fighting out the corner, but with the nerfs to your fireball, just dashing back and getting a fireball on screen doesn't give the same reward anymore. Essentially, all the reward you're going to get is back to mid-screen. You know, if Oracle just walks away from it, it's not worth it. So establishing that mid-range, because Oracle is giving you enough respect, just staying in mid-range, you block the blankable, cool, run up throw, fuck it. Block the blankable, okay, cool, take your turn back. I know that the DP is scary, but as soon as you start playing around a DP in a match, you lose. You immediately lose if you get too scared of a DP. And I think there was some things that New was doing really well there. You saw that like the off-the-wall mix-ups were there. There was a couple of dropped conversions, but had all of the core game plan down there, but just didn't have this sort of like a bit of spice on top to make that core game plan as scary as it needed to be. Anyway, hopefully that was helpful for some aspiring Lancelot players out there. It's interesting to see what this character is playing like after the patch. I definitely think New can can improve on that and come back. This matchup's obviously just getting harder and harder by the day. Charlotte players are rising up. But yeah, if you are interested, we still want to get as many replays from as many people as possible. I'm going to try and do it like twice a week, go through someone's replay from the community. If you want to have yours spoken about, feel free to just drop me a message with your name, what character you play, what matchup you want to learn about, or if there's a specific match you want me to cover. Also, if people in the comments, like I know I have like the most fucking amazing comment section when it comes to feedback for players. Like I remember the Narumaya play-by-play I did ages ago, and I had like this awesome comment section of people talking about the Narumaya matchups, and it was sick. So if anyone has some feedback from you as well, that would be awesome to see. And hope you're all doing well, taking care of yourself, and have a great day.